The stars were quiet that night. In the middle of deep space, far from Earth, a group of human ships floated together. They had no home. Every planet they visited had turned them away. Every council they spoke to had closed its doors. The galaxy had rejected them. Captain Ethan Brooks stood in the control room of his ship, looking out at the stars. His face was calm, but inside he felt the heavy weight of failure. He had led his people far, but now he had nowhere to take them. They had been traveling for months without rest. Supplies were running low. Spirits were even lower. Behind him, Commander Lily Collins read the latest reports. The water system was failing on 2 of the ships. Fuel levels were dropping fast. Children were getting sick. People needed food and warmth. They needed a home. Queen Olivia Hart sat in her private room, quiet and still. She was not a ruler who gave up easily. Her eyes were full of fire, even when her heart was tired. She had been chosen by the people because she spoke with kindness and strength. Now she had to guide them again. The Queen called for a meeting. In the main room of the central ship, the leaders gathered. Ethan sat next to her. Lily stood nearby, always ready to help. Engineers, doctors, teachers, and other ship captains filled the room. Some looked angry. Others looked afraid. All of them looked tired. Queen Olivia stood up and spoke. Her voice was strong and clear. She reminded them of where they came from. Earth was long gone, ruined by war and greed. But humans had survived. They had built new ships, crossed the stars, and reached the edge of the galaxy. And now, even though the rest of the galaxy had shut them out, she told them they were not finished. "We are not weak," she said. "We are not lost. We are human. And that means we keep going." Her words lit something inside them. Ethan nodded. Lily felt a new sense of duty. The people listened and began to believe again. They were still cold. They were still hungry. But they had something else now. They had hope. After the meeting, Ethan and Lily went to the map room. They looked at old star charts. There were many unknown areas beyond the edge of the galaxy. Most ships never went there. It was full of dangers. But maybe there was also something more. Maybe there was a place waiting to be found. Ethan pointed to a small space far from known worlds. It had no name, no reports, just darkness. But he believed in it. Lily trusted him. They decided to go. The next day, the Queen gave the order. All ships turned toward the unknown space. Engines lit up, and the fleet moved forward. Some people cried. Some smiled. Oh. No one looked back. As they flew into the dark, children on the ships pressed their faces to the windows. They watched the stars pass by. They did not know what was ahead, but they knew they were part of something important. Captain Ethan stood at the front of his ship. He held the rail and stared ahead. This was not the end. It was the start of something new. And somewhere in the silence of space, a new future waited for them. The ships moved deeper into the unknown. Space outside the windows grew darker. Stars became fewer. There were no signals, no planets, no signs of life, just silence. But inside the ships, life continued. People cooked simple meals. Children learned from old books. Engineers fixed broken pipes and wires. Everyone tried to stay busy. Captain Ethan Brooks did not sleep much. He spent most nights walking through the halls of the ship, checking on the crew. He saw tired faces, but also brave ones. He knew he had to stay strong, even when fear crept into his mind. Commander Lily Collins stayed at the controls, her eyes always on the screen. She watched for danger. There were no clear paths in this part of space. One mistake could send them into a dead zone. One wrong turn could leave them floating forever, but she stayed focused. She believed in their mission. One morning, just before light entered the cabins, something strange happened. A soft shake ran through the lead ship. It was not strong, but enough to wake the crew. Lights flickered, screens glitched. For a moment, the engine slowed. Ethan rushed to the control room. Lily was already there, checking the data. Her hands moved quickly across the controls. "What was that?" Ethan asked. "I don't know," Lily said. "But we were hit by something. No warning, no signal." Outside the ship, space still looked empty. But something was near. The radar showed a shadow. It moved fast, then disappeared. Ethan called the Queen. Olivia Hart listened without speaking. Then she stood and gave one order. Stay calm. Keep moving. But calm was hard to find. People whispered in the halls. Was it a trap? Were they being followed? No one knew. Later that day, the second ship in the fleet sent a message. They had found something. It was a large object floating ahead. The Queen ordered the fleet to stop. Ethan took a small team and flew toward the object in a scout ship. Lily joined him, along with a few guards and a young engineer named Noah Clark. As they got closer, they saw the object more clearly. It was a wreck, a ship, but not one of theirs. It looked old. Parts of it were broken. Burn marks covered the outside. There were no lights inside. It looked dead. They landed on it. Ow. The doors opened slowly, creaking from rust. Inside, the halls were dark and cold. Dust floated in the air. Wires hung from the ceiling. It felt like a grave. They moved carefully. Noah checked the walls for power, found a broken panel and worked on it. A few lights came on. They lit the path ahead. In the center of the ship, they found a control room. Inside was a single seat and a screen that still worked. Lily touched the screen, showed a map, and on that map was a red mark. A planet, Ethan said. A real one. They downloaded the data and left quickly. No one wanted to stay longer than needed. The silence of the wreck felt wrong, like something was watching. Back on the main ship, the Queen studied the map. The planet was not far. If the data was true, it could be a place to land, a place to live. She looked at her people. Then she gave the command. The fleet turned toward the marked point. Engines fired. The dark space behind them fell away. Ahead was the promise of land, of safety. But as they moved, a strange sound echoed through the ship radios. A soft hum like a voice far away. Then silence again. Ethan looked at Lily. She looked back. Something was out there, watching, waiting, and whatever it was, it had noticed them. The ships moved toward the planet. It was still far, but getting closer each hour. The people on board started to feel something new. It was not fear, it was not joy. It was something between both. A hope mixed with worry. They wanted to believe this planet was safe, but nothing in space had been safe so far. Captain Ethan Brooks stood beside Commander Lily Collins in the control room. The map from the wrecked ship showed the path clearly, but the path was not easy. Strange signals started to appear on their screens. They looked like storms. But storms did not move like this. They came too fast, and they vanished too fast. One night, while the fleet was passing a wide dust field, the third ship went silent. It sent no signal, no sound, just vanished. One moment it was there, the next it was gone. Ethan called the Queen at once. Queen Olivia Hart did not panic. She ordered the ships to stop. Search teams were sent to find the missing ship, but nothing was there. No parts, no sound, no trace. The people became afraid again. Mothers held their children close. Guards walked the halls. Some people asked the Queen to turn back, but she did not change her order. They would move forward. That same night, Lily was in her room checking the radar when she heard a sound, a soft knock on the door. She opened it and found Noah Clark standing there. His face was pale. "I saw something," he said, outside the window. She followed him to the lower deck. There was a wide window there. He pointed to the glass. At first, she saw only stars. Then a shape moved past. It was fast and smooth, like a shadow with wings. It vanished before she could speak. She called Ethan. He arrived with 2 guards. They searched the area, but found nothing. No ship. No light. Just space. "We are not alone here," Noah said. Ethan agreed, called a meeting with the Queen. They spoke in private. He asked if they should stop the mission. The Queen said no. She believed the planet was calling them for a reason. She said danger was part of every journey. She would not turn away now. The next day, the planet came into view. It was green and blue. It looked alive. Clouds moved across its surface. Water shined under the light of a distant sun. The people cheered. Some cried, "A real planet, a real chance." But not everyone smiled. Ethan felt something strange, a pressure in the air, like a warning. Lily felt it too. She could not explain it, but it was real. They sent a scout ship down first. Ethan, Lily, and Noah went together. They landed in a wide valley near a river. Trees grew tall. Flowers opened in the breeze. Birds flew overhead. It looked peaceful. Too peaceful. They set up a small base. Sensors were placed in the ground. Samples were taken. Noah tested the air and found it safe. They sent a message to the Queen. The planet could hold life. As they worked, Lily walked near the trees. She felt watched. Not by people, not by animals, by something else. She turned and saw nothing. But the feeling did not go away. That night, as the sun set on the planet, a sound came from the trees. A low hum. It was deep and cold. Then the sound stopped. Noah checked the sensors. They had picked up movement, but not from animals, from shapes. Tall shapes. Moving around the base. Watching. Lily held her breath. Ethan picked up his weapon. They were not alone. And this time, something was coming closer. Darkness covered the valley. The sun was gone, and the trees stood still like shadows. Ethan Brooks stood near the base camp with his hand on his weapon. Lily Collins and Noah Clark stayed close. No one spoke. The sound from the trees had stopped, but the fear was still there. Inside the camp, lights flickered. The power line had been cut. The backup system came on, but it was weak. Noah checked the control panel and shook his head. Something was draining the energy. "We are not alone," Ethan said. Lily moved to the edge of the camp and looked into the trees. She saw movement. Not animals, not people. Shapes, tall, dark shapes that moved without sound. She raised her voice and told Ethan. He ordered everyone to stay ready. Then a scream came from behind the tents. One of the guards was missing. They found only his helmet near the river. Blood marked the ground. The water moved with force, as if something had just passed through it. Queen Olivia Hart received the warning. She was still on the main ship above the planet. When she heard about the shapes and the missing guard, she sent 10 more soldiers down with supplies and weapons. She told Ethan to stay calm, but also to protect the people at all cost. Ethan set up motion sensors around the camp. He gave each person a weapon. No one would sleep that night. At midnight, the sensors beeped. The shapes were coming closer. Slowly. Quietly. They surrounded the camp. The lights began to dim again. Ethan gave the order to hold positions. The guards aimed into the trees. Lily stood with them. She had trained for this. She did not run. Then the shapes came out. For the first time, they saw them clearly. They were tall, human-like, but wrong. Their faces were covered in metal. Their eyes glowed red. Their arms were long and strong. They moved as one. The guards fired. Bright light filled the dark. Shapes moved fast. Too fast. One guard was taken. Then another. But they did not scream. The shapes did not kill. They captured. Ethan threw a signal flare into the air. The red light burned above them. The shapes stopped for a moment. Then they pulled back into the trees. Silence returned. In the morning, only half the guards remained. The others were gone. No trace. No sound. Noah checked the sensors again. They were not working. The power was nearly gone. The camp was no longer safe. "We have to leave this place," Lily said. Ethan agreed. He sent a message to the Queen. She answered with a new plan. They would move the base to a rocky hill nearby. It was easier to defend, harder to reach. The people packed fast. They moved under the morning light. Every shadow felt dangerous. Every sound made them turn. As they reached the hill, Ethan looked back at the trees. He saw a shape standing still near the river, watching, waiting. They set up the new base on the rocks. They used metal shields and fire lines. Noah worked on the power system. Lily kept watch. At night, the shapes did not come. But they were still there, watching from the woods, waiting. Ethan knew the planet was not empty. It had a secret, something old, something angry. And whatever lived there did not want them to stay. The sky turned red as the sun rose behind the rocky hills. Smoke lifted from the burned ground near the forest. The shapes had not attacked again, but their presence was clear. They watched every move from the trees. They stayed hidden but close. Captain Ethan Brooks stood on the hilltop. He looked through the long-range scanner. He saw no movement, but he knew they were there. He could feel it. The people in the camp were silent. No one laughed. No one spoke unless needed. Fear lived in their eyes. Commander Lily Collins stayed near the weapons store. She counted every round and checked each guard post. She had not slept in 2 nights. Her hands were steady, but her heart beat fast. She knew an attack was coming. Noah Clark worked inside the power room. He had built a new signal tower using broken parts from the scout ship. Could send a message to the main ship in orbit. He hoped it would be strong enough. Queen Olivia Hart stood on the bridge of the main ship above the planet. She watched the feed from the hilltop camp. The camera showed tired faces and broken equipment. She made her decision. She sent a message to Ethan. The message came through at once. Ethan read it and called a meeting. The camp leaders sat around a metal table in a small tent. The air inside was warm and still. "The Queen says we must decide now," Ethan said. "We stay and fight for this world, or we leave and find another." No one spoke for a while. Then Lily stood up. "This planet does not want us here," she said, "but we have nowhere else to go. If we leave now, we lose everything. If we stay, we fight for a home." Some agreed, some did not, but in the end the choice was made. They would stay. The Queen sent more troops, stronger weapons, more power units. The fleet above the planet moved closer. Large ships floated above the clouds, watching and waiting. That night, the wind changed. The shapes moved from the forest. It came in waves, silent, fast, without warning. The battle began. Ethan led the front line. His voice cut through the dark. The guards fired their weapons. The red light flashed across the camp. The shapes rushed forward. They moved like shadows but hit like stone. Lily fought near the north wall. She held her ground as 2 guards fell beside her. She fired until her weapon clicked empty. Then she picked up another. Noah stayed in the tower. He used the last of the fuel to boost the signal. A bright light burst into the sky. The Queen saw it. She gave the command. The fleet opened fire. Flames rained down from above. The ground shook. The shapes screamed for the first time. Some fell, some ran. Smoke covered the valley. The sound of battle filled the air. When the light faded, the shapes were gone. The ground was quiet. Bodies were counted. 23 people lost, many more hurt. But the camp still stood. The next day, Queen Olivia came down to the surface. She walked through the camp. She saw the broken walls. She saw the people who fought. She saw the children hiding in tents. She stood beside Ethan and spoke to all. "This is our world now," she said. "We were rejected by the galaxy, but we found our place, not by running, not by hiding, but by standing." The people listened. They stood taller. They had come with nothing. They had faced fear.